The Korean economy grew at its fastest pace in 2 years in the second quarter of this year, bolstered by government stimulus measures and a recovery in consumer spending.
Right, so will the economy be able to meet the government's growth forecast of 2.8% for this year? Well, for the details of that and a prospect, we have Arirang News Hwang Ji-hye joining us live from the news center.
So, Ji-hye, before we get into the future, let's look back at the second quarter numbers that came out today regarding the nation's gross domestic product.
Sure, Daniel. The Korean economy finally broke free from the trap that is growth in the 0% range. The Bank of Korea said Thursday that the nation's gross domestic product rose 1.1% in the April to June period from the previous quarter. It is the first time in 9 quarters that the country posted quarter-on-quarter growth of more than 1%. From the same period of last year, the economy expanded 2.3%. As you mentioned, stimulus measures played a big role in the recovery. Government spending rose nearly 2.5% in the second quarter from the previous 3 quarters, and an end to a contraction in private spending, which rose 0.6%, reversing from a 0.4% drop in the first quarter, also helped the nation's recovery. After the National Assembly approved a supplementary budget of more than $15 billion in May, President Park Geun-hye asked economic policymakers to prioritize spending in public projects. Coupled with extra fiscal spending, the central bank cut its key interest rate to help inject more money into the economy.
Now, so Ji-hye, can we take this as a good sign? I mean, a sign that the economy might just reach that government's growth projection for this year?
Well, Kwon-young, only time will tell, but experts are dubious and point out that the quarterly growth rate of private consumption still remains weak.
The people's wage growth rate, which is a crucial factor in consumption, has been sluggish. Korea's slumping stock market and the sustained fall in real estate prices don't bode well for private consumption.
And in fact, according to the Credit Finance Association, purchases made with credit and debit cards stood at around $120 billion in the second quarter this year, up a mere 4% from the same period a year earlier. This marks the lowest quarterly growth rate since the association started compiling the data in 2005.
And I believe there are some other challenges facing the Korean economy, right?
Right, Daniel. Experts say that the slowing growth in China, Korea's biggest trading partner, will limit Korea's export-driven growth for the rest of the year. Korea's exports rose 1.5% in the second quarter this year, slowing from a 3% increase in the previous quarter.
China's economic growth came down to 7.5% in the second quarter this year, and there's more room for it to drop further. This will inevitably have an adverse impact on the Korean economy.
So Ji-hye, so is there any optimism out there really about the Korean economy, being on track to recovery in the second half of the year?
Kwon-young, there are optimists out there who say that there is a chance that the second half could be stronger than the first, given the economic recovery the United States is currently showing. They say that the U.S.'s recovery could improve Korea's export conditions, which are heavily reliant on developed nations. Those optimists add that government spending will continue to boost the nation's economy in the second half of this year.
All right, Ji-hye, thank you for that. That was Arirang Hwang Ji-hye reporting on the outlook for the Korean economy in the second half of the year.